Syria used Lebanon as a staging territory to basically shell Israel, calling it the Lebanese resistance. We had nothing to do with it. So today when I hear our President Bush, talking about the axis of evil, Syria and Iran, I look back and I think to myself, what's new? Where was the United States government in the 80s and the 70s, 20, 30 years ago, when this is the exact same thing was happening, but no one was paying attention? What was really an incredible thing for me, I ended up moving to Israel in 1984 and becoming news anchor for World News in the Middle East, where I reported on world events. I worked for Middle East television, and I had access to information that was not filtered through the Arabic propaganda filters that Arabs are oblivious to. And as I reported on terrorist activities and terrorism happening all around the world, in different countries, in different nations, I started connecting the dots. I started realizing that there was a pattern developing. The name of the perpetrators, and mind you, this was back in the 80s, the name of the perpetrators were always Muslims. Ahmed, Muhammad, Hussein, Ali. The name of the victims were always Westerners, Jews and Christians. Terry Waite, Terry Anderson, Colonel Higgins, the Achille Lauro, the TWA, the Pan Am flights. And I realized that what I used to think was a regional problem in the Middle East between the majority Muslims trying to kill and eradicate and drive away the minority Christians and Jews had become a worldwide problem. But the world was not paying attention. Today, David, when people watch television and they look at news coming out of the West Bank, for example, or coming out of Lebanon, or coming out of Gaza, and they hear about Hamas and Hezbollah, they think, who cares? That's 8,000 miles away. I mean, who cares about Hamas? That's not my problem.
Right.
Or who cares about Hezbollah? That's not my problem.
It's an Israeli problem. It's a Middle Eastern problem.
Exactly.
Right.
Hamas, of all the terrorist organizations that have set up shop on American soil, and the top three are Al-Qaeda, Islamic Jihad, and Hamas. Hamas has the largest infrastructure on American soil. Hamas has cells in over 40 states in the United States. Hamas has cells from New York to San Diego, to Cincinnati, to Oklahoma, to Houston, to Fort Lauderdale, to Boca Raton, and everything in between. In their charter, Article 22 of the Hamas Charter, which was written and made public in 1988, Hamas talks about their enemy to be destroyed. Quote, with their enemy, talking about their enemy that they want to destroy, they created secret organizations that spread around the world to destroy societies. Such organizations are the Freemasons, the Rotary Clubs, the Lion Clubs, the Bnei Britz, and the likes. All of them are destructive espionage organizations, end quote. How many, David, who are watching us today around the United States of America and around the world, who are members of the Rotary Clubs, the Lions Clubs, the Kiwanis and the likes, the Freemasons, who wake up in the morning to go to their meetings, to raise money, to better their communities, know that they are mentioned in the Hamas Charter, Article 22 of the Hamas Charter, that they, the Rotary Clubs and the Lions Clubs, are the enemies of Islam, the enemies of Hamas, to be destroyed by Hamas, the largest terrorist organization on American soil.
Brigitte, something I think it's important for people at home watching to understand is that we're not talking about a problem in the Middle East 8,000 miles away.
That's right.
We're not talking about an enemy who's bent on people's destruction, whose last names sound Jewish.
Exactly.
Or even Christian.
Exactly.
Whether it's 8,000 miles away or here in America or around the world, this is an enemy who, since September 11th, picked, to me, a very infamous day in history.
Yeah.
From September 11, 1683, when the Islamic forces were turned back in Vienna and the Islamic Empire began to decline. This was their way, to me, of saying, we're back, we're here, we're coming. And they are here, and they are coming, and they are on the shores of America. They are here by the millions.
Terrorist organizations, David, have come and set up shop in America. When people mistakenly look at Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda is nothing more than a trans-umbrella organizations with many different organizations underneath it. What they share together in common is an ideology.
Yes.
It's an ideology. Forget the name. Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Ikhwan, whatever you want to call them. The common thread is radical Islam, or Islam as we should call it. Al-Qaeda is working with the MS-13 gang the notorious South American gang, in smuggling terrorists into our country. Hezbollah is doing the same thing. Al-Qaeda is paying the MS-13 gang between $25,000 and $50,000 per terrorist to be smuggled into the United States. We estimate thousands have been smuggled through the Mexican border into the United States since September 11th. Hezbollah is doing the same. They are coming into the United States and they are immediately going to the major cities in America with the largest Arabic concentrations, such as Houston, Dallas, LA, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Dearbornistan, Michigan, Oklahoma City. They are marrying American Muslim women with a Muslim citizenship, with an American citizenship, and they are literally breeding terrorists on our soil.
Brigitte, we just have a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to ask you to come back again tomorrow, but tell us this. What is the common ideology? You said all these different names, whether it's Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, etc., share a common ideology, not just a common religion, but what is that? What is their agenda? What's that common ideology?
To establish Islam as the supreme religion throughout the earth, where peace will come under Islam and Sharia law with the Khalifa as one nation throughout the globe, an Islamic nation.
Wow. Wow. That doesn't make us want to wake up and stand up and do something. I don't know what will.
We must, and this is something I hope we're going to discuss in tomorrow's show, what we can do as a civilized nation, as citizens living in Western nations, what we can do, our part, to make a difference for our society
Yes.
and our nations.
You know, it's important. I look at not only the question of what we can do as a civilized society, but what can we do as Christians?
Yes.
You know,
that's a very important
people
question.
who are supposed to be tolerant, who are supposed to be forgiving, who are supposed to express the love of Jesus Christ, not hatred. How do you look in the face of this kind of an enemy and do that?
That's right.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.